Imagine this. You spend 4 years in college, you rack up $80,000 in student debt, the kind of debt that follows you into the afterlife and haunts your descendants. You learn to code in engines that sound like Eastern European cough syrup. You grind through 70-hour crunch weeks living off Monster Energy and the ghost of your former self just to ship a game that sells 10 million copies. The game gets a 90 on Metacritic. You put your name in the credits. Your mom screenshots it and sends it to the family group chat, and then on a random Tuesday morning at 9:04 a.m., your CEO hops on a Zoom call, mutes your camera, says the phrase strategic market realignment, and boots you out of your job so he can afford a third yacht that nobody needs. Welcome to the video game industry in 2026, folks, where the only thing shipping faster than your game is you. What's up, gamers? Today we need to talk about what might be the single most cooked industry on the planet right now. No, not Hollywood, they're cooked too, but they've been slow roasting for so long, they've achieved a kind of stable Zen state of being on fire. I'm talking about the video game industry, the people responsible for Baldur's Gate, Elden Ring, Hollow Knight, even the Call of Duty that your crusty uncle still plays in his basement at 2 in the morning while yelling slurs at teenagers. According to a new survey that just dropped, almost half of all video game developers are actively looking to leave the industry. 44%. That is not a typo. That is not a meme number. That is a real statistic from a real recruiting firm that surveyed over 1,000 actual developers across the UK, Europe, North America, APAC, and the Middle East. Almost half of the people making your games want out, and it gets worse. Like a lot worse. 22% of the people they surveyed got laid off within the last 12 months. Another 12% got laid off before that, and 28% watched their studios do layoffs even if they personally dodged the bullet. So do the math with me. You walk into a room of 10 game devs and it's basically musical chairs, except the music stopped 3 years ago and the chairs were all sold on eBay by a private equity firm. Now here's the part that made my jaw actually hit the floor. Of the devs who did get laid off, only 45% of them managed to find a new job at all. And of that 45%, only 27% feel secure in their new role. 27%. That means if you took 100 laid off devs, stuffed them into a conference room and asked, who here feels like they have a stable job right now? You would get a response from 12 people. 12. That's not a statistic, that's a support group. In the UK, my British homies, 76% of you, 76 are either planning to leave the industry or actively considering it in 2026. Bro, that's not a brain drain, that's a brain tsunami. The country that gave us Rocksteady, Rare, Frontier, Media Molecule, 3/4 of those developers are staring at their spreadsheets and going, you know what? Tesco's always hiring and at least the biscuits are free. Between 2022 and 2026, roughly 45,000 game industry jobs have evaporated. 45,000. That's not a correction. That's not a market adjustment. That is the population of a mid-sized studio just poof, vaporized. John Romero, the dude who literally co-created Doom, came out and said this feels like the 1983 video game crash all over again. When John Romero tells you it's bad, you don't ask follow-up questions. You start hoarding canned food and watching his Twitter like it's the Weather Channel during a hurricane. And why is this happening? Why during a year where the industry is making record revenues, a year where GTA 6 is about to drop a financial nuke on the entire market, a year where Pokemon is still printing money like a Venezuelan mint? Why are 45,000 people getting fired? And let me tell you why. Because the suits at the top of these publishers look at spreadsheets the way my toddler looks at a light socket, with the confidence of someone who has absolutely no idea what they're doing, but is extremely eager to touch something dangerous. Executive compensation at EA, Take-Two, Microsoft Gaming, Sony, those numbers are absolutely sending it up and to the right. Meanwhile, the people actually making the games are getting pink slip so the company can post better quarterly earnings, buy back their own stock, and keep the C-suite swimming in Patek Philippines and imported Italian loafers. And oh, we haven't even talked about the AI situation yet. So strap in, more than half of the surveyed studios are now using generative AI tools in production. Half. And 64% of those developers believe AI is making the industry less creative, not more, less. Which is wild because the entire pitch for AI was it'll free up devs to be more creative. Yeah, it'll free them up, free them right out of a paycheck and into a job application at Chipotle. Nearly half of the devs surveyed said they think AI could eventually replace them entirely. And let me be crystal clear about what's happening here. The industry just fired 45,000 people. And the ones who survived are now watching their bosses feed their job into a chatbot and go, oh wow, this is so much cheaper. It's like if a factory burned down and the CEO went, good news everyone, the insurance payout bought us a bigger furnace. And the worst part, the AI isn't even good yet. Half of these tools are producing character models with 7 fingers and dialogue that reads like a hostage note written by a malfunctioning microwave. But publishers don't care because quarterly earnings don't care. Shareholders don't care. The only thing they care about is whether the number went up this quarter and whether their Christmas bonus is big enough to buy a small European country. Oh, and the future devs, students trying to enter this industry, 74% of them said they are concerned about their future career prospects. 3 out of 4. These kids are taking out $100,000 in loans to enter an industry that is currently eating its own young like a snake swallowing itself at an all-you-can-eat buffet. What are you even supposed to tell a freshman who wants to be the next Neil Druckmann? Good luck, buddy. Half your future coworkers don't exist yet, and the other half are driving Uber between freelance gigs. Okay, I want to take the foot off the gas for just a second because as fun as it is to dunk on publishers, and trust me, it's really fun, I want to zoom out for a minute and acknowledge something real. These are people, actual human beings, artists who spent a decade perfecting their craft, animators who can make a dragon breathe fire in a way that feels real, in a way that makes your brain go, yeah, that's how a dragon would do it. Level designers who have this almost supernatural ability to guide your eye exactly where they need it to go without you ever noticing. Audio engineers who can make a sword swing feel heavier than physics should allow. These aren't interchangeable cogs. These are craftspeople, real ones, people with souls, with ideas, with families, with mortgages, with kids they want to provide for. And when you lay off 45,000 of them in 4 years, you don't just lose workers, you lose institutional knowledge. You lose mentors. You lose the people who would have taught the next generation how to make games that actually move you. The people behind Baldur's Gate 3 didn't fall out of the sky. They were taught by the generation before them. And right now we are severing that chain in real time. That's the quiet tragedy of all this. 5 years from now, we're going to wonder why so many games feel soulless, why everything's a live service, why every open world feels like the same checklist. And the answer is going to be because we fired everyone who knew how to make it feel like something else. Okay, depression breaks over, let's finish strong. Here's the thing, the gaming industry isn't dying. Games are more popular than they've ever been. GTA 6 is going to make $1 billion in its launch week. The money is there. It's just not going to the people who make the games. It's going to the executives, the shareholders, and the private equity ghouls who bought up half the studios and then discovered, shocking twist, that making games is really, really hard. This survey is a siren, a flashing, wailing, red light at the end of the world siren, and it's telling you, the gamer, something really important. If you want the medium you love to survive, you need to pay attention to who is making the games you buy. Support indies, support unionization efforts, stop pre-ordering the slop that every major publisher is shoveling into your mouth, and then wondering why it tastes like wet cardboard soaked in Battle Pass. Because here's what happens. If 44% of devs actually walk, we don't get fewer games, we get worse games, made by the B team, rushed out of the door, slathered in microtransactions, voice acted by an AI that thinks the word bazinga is a convincing line of emotional dialogue. The industry has a choice. Treat its people like humans or watch the whole thing collapse into a puddle of launcher fatigue, Battle Pass burnout, and $69 remasters of games your dad played. And if it does collapse, I'll be right here with my popcorn and my Steam Deck because the indies never left. Drop a like if you care about this, subscribe if you don't want to miss the next corporate dumpster fire, and there will be another one probably by Thursday. Let me know in the comments, is this rock bottom or are we still falling? I'll see you in the next one.